we will go down to on the agenda to the general consent. As far as board minutes and special board meetings are concerned, we've got one correction, correct? On the minutes, Dr. Gurley helped me out for the special call meeting. It was, the minutes stated the 24th of April, but the meeting was held the 17th. Is that correct?
Meredith, check your notes. It's the 17th. That was before Good Friday. I'm pretty sure
I
that.
have it on the 24th.
It was the 24th?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
All of it positive.
All right, then the agenda needs to be
Yes,
changed.
ma'am. My
The
apologies.
agenda needs to be changed. Thank you. A on the agenda is the property surplus. Do we have any questions?
Madam Chairman, we previously tried to sell those 2 tire machines via the Herald and have had no luck. Mr. Moon, correct me if I'm wrong, so we're looking to surplus those items along with 2 buses and 2 county vehicles that are no longer in use.
Okay.
How old are those tire machines?
I got them from the old high school. They come from the new high school, so they've been around about 40 or 50 years, I guess.
Are they classified as antiques? Would be my question. Anything over 50 years that's household is antique, I understand, so we may have those. Is there any questions on that board? If not, if it's all right with you, we will move that up to consent. C, is that all right? Next thing on the agenda is the instructional calendar. And if you will notice, this is the instructional calendar for the 26-27 school year. We have already approved the school calendar for next year, the 25-26 school year. If you looked at that, you noticed also that, was it calendar B, that the teachers, the vast majority of the teachers voted for. So look closely at calendar B, please. Any questions about calendar B? If there are no questions, I will leave it on the approved agenda as A so that we will have a definite motion to approve that for the 26-27 school year. Is that all right, board? Thank you. C is the lawn maintenance bids. We had several people that submitted bids. Any comments, Dr. Dyer? Any questions, vote?
I think the group that we've had so far is doing a really good job. I've been there, I've checked it out for the people here. It's been like they're doing a really good job.
Which one is it, Dole? Eagle mowing.
Does that mean that we're not doing it 3 consists month? Does that mean that we're doing it 3 times a month? Because most of them put down 2 days.
Right.
They just wrote their bids up differently.
But it will be done 3 times in a month.
bid announcement, it said for the 25-26 school year, Grundy County Board of Education is accepting sealed bids for lawn care services. The bids will cover mowing, weed eating, and lawn maintenance at each of the 6 Grundy County school locations every 10 days. And that's currently the service that we're receiving now. And we get that done, typically we go till October and it cuts off and then it picks back up in March again. That's what we've been doing historically. As a reminder, the board does not have to accept the lowest bid. You can accept the lowest and best bid, but if the board elects to go with a bid that is not the lowest bid, you will have to provide some type of rationalization or some type of reasoning in the motion that is made, that way we can present that to auditors. That is required. So you do not have to accept the lowest bid, you have to accept the lowest and best. And best can be based on services provided or historical service relationships that we've had in the past with particular vendors, a number of things, but that just needs to be included in the motion if that's what the board intends to do. To date, I have not had any problems with our current mowing group. The only issue that I had was a rock that busted the window out, and that just happens from time to time.
Any other questions about these bids, Lord? Are you ready to move on to item D? All right. Item D, tenure. I believe we have a list of 12 teachers. Usually these people in the past have come. Do we have some of the people? All right. At this time, do you want them to introduce themselves now? Or wait till the regular meeting?
I would wait for the regular meeting because some of them couldn't be here for the workshop, they're coming from the work.
All right, all right. So, board, we will vote on each one of these individually. I believe law mandates that, so we will go through those 12 one at a time. Any questions? Someone asked the question. Evaluations have been done. Evaluation scores are as they should be to recommend evaluations. That was my understanding. Any other questions from the board?
Keep in mind, the policy is based on the past 2 years of evaluations, because we would not have EOC scores and other things that would actually factor in to a teacher's evaluation score for this year. Some of the professionalism conferences haven't been done yet. So this tenure recommendation is not based on this year's scores, but the 2 past years.
All right.
All of these teachers have been recommended by their principal.
Yes, ma'am, that's correct. Either they have recommended. There was one recommendation that was left off the list inadvertently. I apologize for that. I recommended that candidate, and we produced a new list for the board tonight. And in those particular scenarios, that particular person performs numerous jobs at various schools, and they may not necessarily be assigned to one particular principal for a recommendation.
Some of these folks have long had tenure. They left and have come back.
Yes.
Well, should be rejoicing that.
There is.
I think there's a couple, did I notice a couple that have done that left and then have come back to the system?
Yep.
Any other questions about teacher tenure? We ready to move on to E? That is the Swiss parking lot bid review. Dr. Jarrett, would you like to address that?
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chairman, members of the board, we put out for bid Swiss Memorial parking lot, and we had one vendor or bidder that was Tinsley Paving Company, and their bid came back at $1,127,009.40. Of that money, there's a 20% contingency included in that final number. If something were to happen and we did need extra supplies or run into an unannounced problem, the board could get that funding back. So 20% of the 1.1 million would come back to us on top of, I think there's a $50,000 contingency on top of the 20% that's built in because of the potential for bad dirt or bad soil, bad settlements and things that they might run into that's actually underground. It could be unannounced or non-detected. Keep in mind, we did have a sinkhole earlier in the year that we were actually dealing with in the parking lot when we actually first started doing geographical scans and plans for this actual project. I don't know how far the board actually read into this, but if you'll flip 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. On page IB5, you'll notice that there's a clause in there. There's a slim window of time for this project to actually be done. We've asked the bidders to have this work performed within 65 calendar days. So if the board is interested in moving forward with this project, we would need to make some type of decision tonight in order for us to be able to maintain that timing on this particular project. Now, if you flip over 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, there will be a letter on letterhead that is asking the board to consider 2 possible options to possibly allow Tinsley the opportunity to extend this project up to, I think it's 105 calendar days as opposed to 65. They would potentially pave, repair, tear up, whatever they need to do to get the parking lot ready for the teachers to be able to park and have it, I guess, semi-usable for buses, but they would not have the parking lot fully paved and complete for us to be able to do that. If the board were to select to extend that project past the 65 days that we originally allotted for and go to the 105 days, you'll notice that there's a clause that says that we would get a credit back for $13,000 via a change order. So that's something for the board to consider. I don't necessarily like to rush projects, but I don't want to be in the middle of a paving project of that significance in the middle of school time. Within this plan, there's a new sign that is included that I've asked them to include because they will be demolishing the old sign that's in place. There will also be new gates that will be established for the parking lot. That way you can control the safety and security of the facility after school hours and during holiday time. That is a component of this. If we were to get both of those contingencies back, I would anticipate this particular project being around $900,000. If you'll remember, we initially guesstimated around 800, 850 is what we thought it would run. I do consider this a competitive bid because I do know Tinsley did have another competitor that actually showed up to the pre-meeting or the pre-bid meeting, so they did anticipate having somebody else to bid this project, which was good for us. But I don't think that that other group felt comfortable due to the distance that they would have to travel, being able to complete the project in 65 days necessary for us to get this done. So I know it's a lot for the board to consider. I know that's a pretty good chunk of money. But that particular parking lot has been needing some service for many years now. I will say this, if the board elects to not do this, this could possibly push this project into next year. And I do consider, or I do have a strong belief that this time next year, prices would be higher. We do have a rep from TTL here. If you have any questions that you may want to ask him, you may be able to verify that. Is that a safe assumption on my part?
Yes, sir, Dr. Curley, I think. I don't see prices coming down.
Does this price include the fixing of the water flow off of the roof, the parking lot?
It does not. There's no gutter inclusions or any of that in there. No, it's not.
Is it the same way out as the current alley to the parking buses?
I can't hear you, Mr. Burwell, I'm sorry.
Is it the same amount of pavement we currently have as
There will be up to, I think there's 85 to 90 parking spots that will be included. There will be a new turnaround for buses, and there will be parking for the cafeteria area. There will be 3 full service lanes for car ride or car drop off. Those items we were adamant about adding. Originally, I think they had about 50 parking lots, but I asked them to attempt to double that. And they've done a very good job in planning that. I think there will be 1 or 2 trees to be removed. There will be at least 1 light pole. Sequatchie Valley is going to have to be removed. The sign will be removed. But there will be significantly better free-flowing traffic than there's ever been out there now. It'll all be marked. You'll have handicap parking up front. You'll have designated areas for the unloading and loading of children, separate from, teachers parking and other things now.
Couple of questions that I have. With the sewage problems that you're having in the bathrooms at Swiss and everything, my concern is there a possibility we could put down new asphalt and all of a sudden get to digging back up to repair sewage lines? Is it in the back?
The sewage is in the back and on the sides of the building in some areas. I'm not sure exactly how much piping is actually under that parking lot now because I don't have those plans. I have difficulty getting my hands on blueprints and locating those things. You always run that risk. I think if the board is going to entertain doing something with the plumbing at Swiss, I've talked to our engineers at Upland. I think we would probably need to get that group to come in here and possibly look at doing some type of recoating on the inside where they actually dig and actually apply material in there to form a new component of these pipes and different systems and other things that have just been corroded over time. The sinks and stuff in the school, I don't know that some of that stuff can actually be repaired because there's benches where they used to be arbors and stuff that were paints and different materials and other things that were poured down there, and I don't know how extensive that project is. If I were to guess, I would say probably somewhere between $250,000 and $350,000. But I had this conversation with engineers last week. He said that it can be done. I said, well, how long will it take? He said, well, month, 2 months possibly. But this is possibly something that we would need to entertain, having conversation about this next budget year. We get ready to start planning. Because that would have to be a summertime project. I don't think it can be done in a week.
So you feel okay to do the parking lot and then possibly have to repair it back up?
I don't know how many pipes are underneath that asphalt. So I can't tell you one way or the other. I don't have a set of plans that gives me that information. So do I feel all right about putting $1.1 million in the parking lot? No, that scares me to death, to be honest with you. But I was scared when I did Pelham's as well, because I had to tear a back portion of that up to put in a new septic tank that was caving in because of a milk truck. So it's hard for me to make some of these forecasts when I don't have blueprints and stuff in my hand. Some of these buildings are so old, I don't have that information in front of me. To my knowledge, Dole, does that sewage, it doesn't drain out underneath the asphalt out there like in a manhole or anything, does it?
No, sir, I think it all goes
It
out the
goes
back.
all in the back, and there's a series of tanks back there. I think there's probably 8 to 12 different tanks that are in the back of the school there. It's almost like a daisy chain system, and all of those are out of the way of this new paving project. If the board doesn't do something, they're gonna run the risk of larger sinkholes in that parking lot.
The proposal for the money for the parking lot, part of it is in this year's budget, is that correct? Part coming in next year's?
That's correct. You've got $500,000 in capital next year, and we've got enough to probably pay the other half this year, I would assume. And I think we can keep on rolling. But you know, what makes me more nervous than anything is going to be the cost of future projects. And I think for the next 3, I think we will definitely have to entertain some type of loan structure to enter into for us to be able to get those done.
One more concern I have, and then I'm through with my questions, I think. The problem here at the high school, as far as the gas and everything is concerned, that's another immediate need that we have, correct?
Would you like me to speak on that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Currently, I have 2 bids for that particular project. I've got one that's around $27,000, and I've got another one that I got today that's around $22,000. That would leave the tanks in the current location where they are now, but keep in mind those tanks are not secure. There are not any barriers around them. You could have a car or a truck to strike these. It's also about 400 feet from those tanks to the back of the building. I've got another proposal that's coming now, or I'm waiting on, that would include the purchase of a couple of large tanks that we could potentially bury underneath the ground and actually move closer to the school building. That would not require so much pipe, but I do not have that bid in front of me. Policy does allow us to move forward in times of an emergency, without soliciting 3 bids, but I wanted to go and get those. I think I can go and get it repaired now for less than $25,000 as well now. I've got it secure. We've got 2 tanks that are tied directly into the valves. All gas came and put those in. I've had about 10 different people come out here and look at those. I can move on that this week. I can call one of those vendors and say, hey, this is what we want to do. We're going to run the pipe. It's probably going to take 3 to 4 weeks to get that ordered. Or I can wait on that 3rd bid and we can look at it in a special call meeting if you would like. But moving the 2 tanks behind the schools and hooking directly into the valve was the only way that we could actually have school.
Yes.
I did everything I absolutely could to have school, and we just could not get those pipes done. I recommend to the board that we replace all of the pipe. I don't recommend replacing one component because I believe you will deal with multiple layers of corrosion due to the age of those pipes. The new pipes will be a heat-treated form of plastic that is designed for propane, and you will not have to worry about corrosion from here on out.
Well, I just was thinking, we're talking about asphalt, we're talking about bathrooms at Swiss, we're talking about needing to do something in order to have heat here at the high school come October, I think, you know, and I just wanted to make sure that we all are aware of the tremendous expense that we're looking at as a board, as a system.
As far as the tornado damage that we suffered in Tracy, we about got all that paid for, and I have enough funding in maintenance. If the board will recall, we did have $50,000 set aside in the line to purchase a lift. That has not been spent yet because I cannot obtain a state contract where they bid that out for us. I'm having difficulty getting a vendor to come in at under what I think is too high to pay for a particular lift. So we could do an amendment, move that money over. We could actually pay for the gas repair, and that would be no dip in the fund balance or anything else. So if the monetary concern is a concern of the board, you can relax on that. I think I've got that handled.
Any other questions, board members? Then are we ready to move on to F on the agenda? This is the policy that when we met with the attorney, that he suggested that we look at line 16 in policy 1.404, and there you have what needs to be. He feels like it needs to be eliminated. Does everyone have that available? Any questions, concern about that? If not, is it okay if we move item F to consent agenda? Board? All right, it becomes D, I believe. Am I correct? Yes. Then let's move on to item G, Board Policy 5.305. This has to do with the family and medical leave. This is something that must be approved in its revised form in order for us to close out the school year. I believe that's correct. If you've looked at that or have any questions about that, noting the differences. Items 3 and 4 on page 2. Where the changes have been made, I believe. Dr. Gurley, you want to add anything about that?
No, ma'am, this just gets us in line with the current parameters that were required under state law regarding parental leave and us being able to pay those. We have to have this in place for us to be able to close out our monthly records to be able to get funding necessary to the state.
Do you have any questions about that? Anyone vote? If not, let's move G to consent, and it will become E. Is that correct? Next are the budget amendments. There are 4 of them. We must look at each one of those separately. Do you have any questions on Amendment 1? Questions on Amendment 2? Questions on Amendment 3? Questions on Amendment 4?
And when we get in the meeting, you will tell the public what each of these
Yes.
happens to be. Thank you.
this redistribution of funds. That will become, let's see, O, G, C, D. That will become E on the approved agenda, I believe,
No, fund
correct?
on funds G. No.
B becomes A, C becomes B, D becomes C, E becomes D, then the D, F, and G becomes D and E if they're under general consent, and so H would become E under approved, I believe. Correct? All right, let's move on to I, the Beta Club Convention overnight trip. Do you have any questions? No questions there? Then I can become F on the consent agenda.
Where is this beta, club? Oh, I see it down there.
Not, get over.
Is this the first time the high school's competed?
Nationally, yes. It's the first year they've competed, period, in state competition or anything, but they had 3 students who qualified nationally. So this is the first time they are doing that.
Is this in Florida?
Things that I would like to add to the agenda if other board members, if you have things also.
What we can look at the budgets where we had the 4,000 and the 2,000. On page 3, can you explain the $2 million discrepancy as far as the fund balance?
On the summary page.
Yes.
So the way that I don't have it in front of me, I apologize, but
I've got it if you need to.
the way that works is, the summary page takes just that revenue that's at the top, which is not all the revenue that we get, and then it's all the expenditures that we have budgeted. So if we only take in the revenue that's on there, and we spend every dime of our expenditures, that line that tells you at the bottom that says like I think it's 1.8 or 1.9, that is how much we would go into the fund balance if we only got that much revenue and we spent every dime of our expenditures.
Okay, I think we're talking about 2 different things. I'm looking at this page, I don't know if you can see it or not.
Okay.
It's the one, okay, on the one where we had $4,000 for the teachers. Line, the 25 school year, fiscal year 25. On the one for 2,000, we have 8.2, almost 8.3 at the beginning of the year. And then it says the fund balance at the end is 10.4 million. On the one for 4,000, the same year, it says at the
fund
beginning of
balance
the year,
is
10.5. Yeah, there's a $2 million discrepancy.
It seems like since we did and redid the budget so many times, that's gonna be the same. It's just on one got changed and on the other one did not.
Which one's correct? Do we have the 10 million or do we have?
We had 10 million.
Okay, so the 10.5 is actually what our fund balance is.
Was at the beginning of the year.
And at the end of the year, we're gonna have 12.1.
Let me log into my.
Instead of the 10.4. I'm just a little concerned because that's a huge amount.
I'm getting there, I'm sorry. So you're looking at the very bottom, and you're on the budget that we actually approved, $4,000.
Yes.
So you're looking at fund balance end of year, and the first number is 8.2? No?
Now, on the 2001, is at 8.2, so that's my concern. The one for 4,000 is 10.5. That's at the beginning of the fiscal year. And it shows the end of the year fund balance is 12.1, and then on the 2,000, it's showing 10.4. Now, have we submitted this to the county commissioners yet?
Yes. We have to submit it by May 1st.
What did we submit to them, or did they begin it from?
Well, so we don't really submit, I mean, this is on here for y'all's information.
Okay, so we don't have to give them what they
No,
need?
they know, I mean.
They already know.
It's in our county, so this is not the budget that we actually, they will not accept this budget in the way that we give it to you all. I have to put it in the accounting software, and what we do is you go in there, when I set up the new fiscal year to be able to budget, we, from the audit, get our, from last year's audit, it tells us your final amount that's in your fund balance, and we put it in, and it automatically, on the budget that we submit to them, figures the fund balance for us. So what we submit to them is just revenue and expenditures, and there is a fund balance thing at the bottom, but I don't put it in. Like it does it for me. I'm gonna have to look at this, it's gonna take me just a minute to see.
Because I just, $2 million off right there, I want to know.
Yeah, so if you don't mind, between, you can, I'll look at that and then I really feel like it's where something was just not updated on one that was updated on the other, since we did multiple retakes of this.
Anything else?
I do have a question about the mold out in the vocational buildings. Are we gonna have that fixed during the summer?
The mold out in the vocational building.
Mold?
Like
Mold. Mold.
Yeah.
Mold.
Like mold and mildew.
Not aware of any mold.
Wendy Lane's room out there, you can go look at it, it's pretty bad.
Yeah. I'm wondering how is she reported at the administration?
I'm not sure, I know.
It's first I've heard of it.
Okay, can we get that checked?
Sure.
And I want to put down that we, put down the hiring
What I have done, and I realize that has been talked about, yeah, thank you, is that I would like to appoint a committee and submit some names to that committee, and the committee come back with a recommendation for the attorney in the month of June. Would that be acceptable with you, Ms. Brown?
Well, have we got any packets? from
Yes,
any other
yes,
attorneys?
yes, I received one today,
Okay.
and I'll be happy to share who I've heard from.
So what are y'all discussing?
Pardon me?
We can't hear you, so what are you discussing?
Board attorneys.
And you want to do what now?
Appoint a committee to look at the possibility of a new attorney.
Okay. Why do we want to do that?
Just a preference from some of the board members. Yes, we voted on it a couple of months ago to look
But
at
you
the
know, I
possibility.
remember when we had Chuck Cagle in the past, seems like we were paying him something like a $40,000 retainer, something crazy like that. And then, on top of that, whatever, hours that he put in with us. And Scott Bennett, what's he charging us, Dr. Dirt?
I think it's around 1,800 a month, 1,900, something like that.
So when we have this committee, I hope that you will look at the cost and request information from different attorneys on what they would charge us, because we saved a lot of money and went with a very good lawyer. So I don't want to see us spend our taxpayers' dollars in a way that's just not the best for us.
Who are you talking about being on the committee?
Well, I was going to ask for some volunteers. I was hoping to appoint some people too. I was hoping for at least a committee of 4, maybe as many as 5. You'd like to be on the committee? We'll wait till and you would like to too, Miss Angela. All right, let's wait till the meeting and then I'll ask for the volunteers and we'll go from there. All right. The next thing I need to bring up is that we did pass at the last meeting, and it's in the minutes about Dr. Darley's evaluation. He has contacted Scott. I did hear from Scott yesterday. And Dr. Darley would like administrators to also participate in the evaluation. And Scott's advice was, and this is from his email to me, that we take the TSBA model and add the administrative model to that. So that is his recommendation. And I would like to, again, possibly this evening, set a time as to when we will have these evaluations done and going over what Scott recommended that we do. And I'd also like to appoint a committee to be in charge of making sure the evaluations are done. And I'll do that and take volunteers in the meeting if that's all right with everyone.
We did also put on the agenda that we vote on him having his vacation on us.
Okay, that could come up in the evaluation business, all right. Anything else? You spoke to me about something.
So we have a grant, a transition school to work program, and it's being cut. Dr. Durley, can you tell me if you have any information about that as to why it's being cut?
I think currently there's been a rumor about a program that's been cut, and there's been some administration that have made a decision about transitional class being cut. And from my understanding, what I have been involved in, we've got one more year of approved funding for that particular grant, and I'm not necessarily satisfied how that particular program has been run administratively, so I would like to keep that program in place for this next year, but administration will be involved in it a little bit more heavily than they have been in the past. That way I can ensure that it's managed appropriately, and I can make a better determination this time next year.
Okay, that works. And I also have a big favor to ask everyone. So May the 22nd, and I'm sworn to secrecy on some of this, so I can't really say much. But my son has been asked to speak at the Disability Mega Conference in Nashville. It's a big deal. It's a big deal, and we're spotlighting Grundy. So if you have anything good to say about our kids, our programs that we use with disability, that would be great, because we're both going to be there. And I can't tell you what's going to happen, but something good. But I would really, really like to put Grundy in the spotlight on this. I think it would be a great way to spotlight our county and to see the improvements that we've made. I really, really want us to do this. It's important. So if you could get with me or give it to Dr. Durley or anything, I don't care what anything that you can possibly think of, we'll use it, okay? Thank you.
And we need to have it to before May.
Yes.
Next week sometime probably. Is there anything else, board members?
Yes, I have one other question. How much did we did the snacks for tea? In that line, how much more money do we have that we're able to use? Because I know now that we had looked at some things for employee appreciation.
In the board's 599 line?
Yes.
Yeah, that is actually in the hole. We're not going to lose some money in there. Now, if you all, we have money we can move in there, so if there's something you all want to do, I mean.
So if there was something we needed to order or something like that, we would just take and let you know what we need.
So we're getting really close to the time that we're not going to order anything else, because we're getting very close to the end of the fiscal year, and we have to have everything wrapped up, so we have to be careful. I'm not saying we can't do it, but we have to be careful.
Why is it in the hole? Why is it in the hole?
Well, that line is where a lot of things that the board, so like if the board decides to do something and it wasn't necessarily, that line is not really budgeted for, it's whatever the board determines that they want to spend. Also, like y'all's traveling and stuff like that, a lot of that comes out of there, and it's hard to determine, how much that's gonna cost. So,
I just thought during our other budget meeting, when you said that we had that, we have 50,000 in it, 28 of it, come out for the Obamacare penalty, and then we had 22,000 left.
well, there was 22 that, after we paid Obamacare, there was, but now y'all spent out of that line. And Ms. Phyllis has, we've given Ms. Phyllis a rundown of, everything that's been spent out of that line.
But Ms. Phillips hadn't spent anything.
No, I didn't mean Ms. Phyllis has been, but we've given I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say, I didn't mean for it to sound like that. We gave her a account analysis of everything that has been spent out of that line. But now, if you all, if there's something else you all want to do, we can make it happen. We just have to, which we're gonna have to fix that line regardless. So.
Anything else? Then we have 10 minutes till we start the regular meeting. Thank y'all.